Welcome in, everybody. As you're coming in, feel free to throw in the chat where you're coming from. We always like to see who's here, who's not. We take note of that, especially me. So if you guys are want to let us know where you're from, what school you're in, what city you're repping, all of that, let us know. Um, we love to see you all. So let us know where you're coming from as you guys are getting comfortable. Grab a seat. We'll start in a couple minutes as we get everyone going. Lisa Miller says the chat is disabled, and maybe Jake, who's on the call, can help us enable it. All set. Great. All right. Now show us, let us know where you're coming from. We want to know before we get started. Say hey to everybody as you come in. We are here to talk about WhatsApp, and we are excited to get it going. We'll give everybody another minute or so to join before we get going. Let us know where you're from, what you do, who your favorite implementation specialist is at Mongoose. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. So you are all here today because we are going to talk about WhatsApp, one of our bigger releases, bigger things that we're excited to have. So this is Cadence Campus Live. It is our webinar. It's a half an hour of good, clean fun that we're here to talk about all the latest and greatest that we have coming up. So joining me on the call today is Jeff Meese, one of our senior strategic account executives here at Mongoose, and also our first repeat guest on Cadence Campus Live, Jeff Campese, a product manager here at Mongoose as well. So Jeff, do you want to go ahead and say a quick hello?
All right, I'll jump in real quick. Although Jeff C starts his is before me in the alphabet, so we should probably do it the other way around. But anyways, hello everybody. Great to see you folks. Jeff Meese here from the sales side. Really excited to talk with folks a little bit about today because again, this whole WhatsApp engagement within Cadence is something I wish I had when I was on campus. So many years ago. So looking forward to chatting a little bit about it. For those I haven't met before, I have been with Mongoose now for about 6 years, and prior to that, I was head of enrollment management at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, as well as Columbia College Chicago. So hello to all of my colleagues out there, and I'll pass it over to Jeff, the other Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. I think we're going to be throwing it back and forth a lot to each other.
I know.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Campese. I'm an associate product manager here at Mongoose. I work directly with the development teams building Cadence for you, and I'm excited to talk about WhatsApp a little bit and what we have in store in the release that's coming up tomorrow, actually. So ready to talk about it.
Awesome. Thank you both. We are really excited to get this going. So if at any point anyone has any questions, we have the chat is finally open, plus along with our Q&A section as well. So also joining me in the background is one of our client success managers, Jen, who's always willing to answer any questions, plus Ashley and Sarah on our Mongoose support team, who are always on the ball answering questions when needed as well. So let us know what questions you have for us in the chat as we're going along, and we can try to get to them as we kind of go through. So we can go ahead and get started. I'm going to stop sharing. And here's what we're going to kind of fire off with first. So my first question is to Jeff Meese. So WhatsApp. So why is it important to have for higher ed when they're already maybe texting with us?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think one that we've talked quite a bit about at Mongoose over the years. The main reason for it is because of the fact that if we think about communications, not only within the United States, Canada, North America area, but if you think about communications across the world, which so many of our partners and folks that are looking at communications are doing when it comes to international students, when it comes to alumni, donors that might not be in the United States or in North America. When you think about the travel that's being done, whether it's study abroad, different kinds of areas like that, and staying in communications with your current students, all of those variables, the traditional 10-digit code system that we use in North America is not what's commonly used across the world. And so because of that, what are the ways that we can continue to communicate, or have you have the ability to communicate with those folks outside of what you're traditionally familiar with Cadence? That's where WhatsApp comes in. And of course, it's probably no surprise to most folks today, you're probably already using WhatsApp in one way, shape, or form when you're communicating with, for example, prospective students that are international. And so when we think about the volume of engagement that is happening within higher education, when it comes to students from other countries, you can look anywhere from, and the numbers are kind of all over the place, but it could be anywhere from 6% all the way up to 20% of an incoming class, depending on the institution, you are trying to get, or you're engaging with, international students. And so that's a pretty substantial amount, actually fairly substantial amount of engagement that really would be beneficial and helpful if you could do it in a core location, if you could do it in a place where you're collecting that kind of information. So we at Mongoose, we've just these internal discussions we've had recently about it, it's a no-brainer that we do this, that we get this kind of tool as part of the Cadence platform and engaged in the Cadence platform to make you all's life a lot easier.
Right, thanks. Next question is over to Jeff C. So Jeff kind of mentioned this a second ago about being able to message those who might not necessarily be in North America. So we can't just text an international student. Is that right?
Yeah, short answer is like it kind of depends. So some countries allow like the one-way texting. You're allowed to message out. Some will allow that number to come in, but that two-way reliability is definitely not the same that we see here in the United States. So if we wanted that same two-way reliability, what we'd have to do is actually give you a separate number for every country code that you're trying to message. So not only is that tedious and kind of confusing, which country am I trying to message, which box am I trying to set it up, the cost behind that, the different compliance for each different country, it just kind of magnifies what we're trying to do for you.
Okay, so having WhatsApp all within Cadence, that's going to allow you kind of just message anybody anywhere kind of thing?
Yeah. So similar to what Jeff was saying, we rely so heavily on the SMS system here in the United States that we kind of feel like everybody does that. It's kind of like the metric in the imperial system. You think everybody's on the same thing as you until you travel anywhere else and realize we're the ones behind. So yeah, SMS is used internationally in a lot of countries, but most people rely heavily on those third-party apps to communicate. And that could be for a number of reasons. WhatsApp does connect to an individual's phone, so it does go off of their mobile phone to kind of get authenticated in. So there's not as much spam on there. You get people using their actual mobile device phone number on there. It is listed in there. And each person using WhatsApp can then message across borders. So it's not just a business platform. You have all these individuals using it to kind of communicate just like they would do SMS. So we're meeting people where they are. They can use any device, any place. So again, a WhatsApp user that opens up has that same international communication that we would have with the Cadence WhatsApp integration. It breaks down those barriers to communication. Again, if we had contacts or even employees sitting in Canada, we can't necessarily just text them. It's easier just to kind of do a business communication. So WhatsApp breaks down those barriers, and you can use data or Wi-Fi on the personal devices. So WhatsApp really, this is an outdated stat. I think I pulled it a couple of weeks ago, but over 150 billion people use WhatsApp, and it's the #1 form of communication in 63 different countries. And that user base continues to grow. I've been hitting with marketed ads recently. I think everybody's seen the ads. If you're on any of the Instagram or the Facebook, you're getting hit with those ads. I've also seen them on some of the TV. So it's growing. Everybody's using WhatsApp, and we're happy to be caught up to that.
In terms of the metric system, we might be kilometers and kilometers behind, but for messaging, we are miles ahead.
Yeah,
great to hear.
we're trying. Yeah, we can't make those changes to the metric system yet. So next time, next month.
But we can of how you communicate with the rest of your contacts. Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. So already, Jeff, we had a question in the Q&A of could we see screenshots of what WhatsApp is going to look like? So I know you have a little bit of show and tell. So start off with like, what do clients need to get this started?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share my screen. So let's hop that over. The host needs to give me permission now.
Man,
it looks like I am blocked out of that. So while we're waiting for that, so I'll be able to kind of walk you through a little bit of the onboarding process and what it looks like in Cadence. And we'll talk about what you need for prerequisites to get it going. So there's certain things you can do behind the scenes prior to having a full conversation with us, and then what you can do after you have that conversation with your client success lead, your client success team. Perfect. Okay, it's opened up. So I think everybody is. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think everybody is pretty familiar with the screen that I'm on now. So this is definitely just your normal Cadence dashboard. And you'll see that I have a number of shared inboxes, and actually 3 of these are WhatsApp inboxes. So they fit seamlessly into your side nav. You're not going to really notice too much of a difference, other than WhatsApp will be the WhatsApp green just to kind of stick out for you. So we'll hang out in the missions, WhatsApp, and international outreach in just a second. So now that we integrate with WhatsApp, what that means is you'll be able to connect your existing WhatsApp business account, or we'll help you create one. And we'll be able to use those inboxes directly in Cadence. So again, the first thing you do is reach out to your client success team, let them know that you're interested, and they'll start the process on their side. And once they do, you'll be able to open up the admin panel, and you'll have a WhatsApp toggle there. So we keep saying integration for WhatsApp. It's important to understand that this does not limit you to the other integrations you use. So you can see I'm still using Razor's Edge NXT in this org, but I can also integrate with WhatsApp and then use that as a channel for communication. With this, you'll have a different landing screen when it's your first one, but you'll be able to kind of edit them just like your shared inboxes. A lot of the patterns are the same, so it should kind of look familiar. And you click new WhatsApp inbox. So the things that you'll need the actual organization's legal name and the business manager. So there needs to be some overlap between an admin in your Meta business account and an admin in Cadence. Now, you don't need to remain an admin in both of those, but to set it up, you will need to have that overlapping Venn diagram. And the reason is WhatsApp is owned by Meta, which also one of their holdings is Facebook. So that's very important to know that there is some connection over there. So I'm going to continue with Facebook just to show you how quickly it is to kind of onboard. You'll notice that we're signing in with my personal Facebook account, which is connected to a business that we're calling Mongoose Goose. And I'm realizing that you're not going to see these screens because I'm sharing a screen and it's a pop-up. So unfortunately, I can't show you this part, but you click through, you kind of go through, and then you pick a shared number and it'll pop up in there. So we'll skip that part just because of the limitations of Zoom here. But once you get that, it'll take about a week, and then we will get you a shared inbox. So you'll see that we opened up this one here. We were showing some people in our client success team. We're messaging in, and everything kind of looks like just a normal conversation that's going on. So we're going to click into this one. I believe this one is actually Mies that was writing back and forth. So Jeff's having a conversation with Jeff, how meta we are that we're doing that on this call now. And again, it looks just like a normal inbox and a normal conversation. Really the intent is you already know how to use Cadence. Let's not overly complicate this, so you don't have to learn an entire new system and kind of go through that.
Awesome. This looks great, Jeff. So kind of just like how text is this when you are adding on a WhatsApp shared inbox, is this going to be a two-way communication just like text is?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's full two-way communication. So I had written in earlier just to make sure that we had some conversations in here that we can reply to. So here is let's pretend it's a contact who saw an Instagram ad. Hey, can you tell me about Mongoose University's rugby team? You'll see that we're able to type a message, and then you can freeform in here. You can use your existing Cadence templates, which I don't have one set up for this. So let's say I would send something like this and kind of go on its way. You'll have the existing functions that you have in Cadence today. MMS will be added very shortly so that you'll be able to do MMS. You still have your emojis, your templates, anything that you use today. The key thing to keep in mind, though, is we have this thing down here, this little counter. So I know it's a little small on our screen, but it says 21 hours and 30 minutes remaining in the WhatsApp reply window. So the compliance and the consent on WhatsApp is really the contact driven. So because this contact wrote in, I have 24 hours to reply to them in a free form manner. So the idea would be that I directly answer their question, the service transaction. I'm trying to make sure that they're satisfied with this transaction. If for some reason, so in this case, I go back into this org over here and we look back at Jeff's conversation. Oh, you wrote, so that one's, we'll go into Gary's. You'll see that it's actually closed. So down here it says the window is closed. WhatsApp allows for responding for 24 hours after this period. So what that actually is the consent window for 24 hours. You have 24 hours to reply. After that, you'll need to start the conversation with a template that's approved by Meta. So that's the only difference that you'll see with text, where text you'll be able to send that message out because you've received that consent already. In order to receive consent with WhatsApp and moving forward, you have to use a pre-approved template that you'll set up in Facebook. We realize that we're driving you to another place to make these templates. So part of the conversation that you have with your CS team, we'll give you this neat little handy guide. It's how to set up your Meta to get it ready for integration with us. And then in there, it does talk about going to your WhatsApp manager and building out those templates and making sure that you're ready to go. And just for a timing perspective, I needed to send this message right away. I made this template right at noon today and it's already been approved. So they are very quick at approving these templates and getting them ready to go. And in this case, this one just says, hey, our office was closed when you wrote us. We're open 7 a to 7 p Eastern time. Do you still want the help? And that is an approved message. So if for some reason a contact wrote you and your office was closed, the next time you come in, you can just send this and say, hey, we still want to reach out to you. We still want to help you. Sorry, we weren't available.
Perfect. So it's two-way with a little caveats, but it's very easy to get everything approved. And we are obviously here to help with the setup too. So that's really great to hear. So my next question now is to Jeff Meese. When we're talking about strategy and messaging with WhatsApp, talk to me about like what you believe is like the best strategy to be, even just to start.
Yeah, well, I'll go back to Jeff C's point just a moment ago with how conversations really do need to start when it comes to Meta. And the thing to remember is this is a meta format, and there's a lot of things that again we're tying into that may feel or be a little different than you're familiar with when it comes to the way we do things with Cadence. But that framework is all based on what Meta's requirements are, and that's what we're here to help you with as you go through the process. So I think of it in two ways. One is if you're already having conversations with an international student, say, for example, and those conversations are happening on WhatsApp, let's say your own personal WhatsApp account, we typically will recommend that you'll go in and actually recommend or offer the opportunity to move the conversation into your WhatsApp inbox in Cadence. The value to that, of course, and it's the value add to all of this, is the fact that you'll now begin to track all of your messages just like you're able to do within Cadence with SMS. So instead of it being on a separate phone, that if that person leaves, if something happens with the phone, whatever, you lose that messaging. Now you're going to be able to get it in there. And simple conversation, simple communication process, similar to what Jeff C was talking about when it comes to some sort of language, templated language, you can really just suggest for the person to move the message over into your Cadence account by simply giving them that number, because you're going to have a number that associated to your WhatsApp. So you give them that number, and then that next message from them can go to that particular number, and offering things like much more flexibility in service. There could be other folks besides yourself who could respond, those types of things. So it really helps with the customer experience or with the student experience when it comes to that. If you haven't had a conversation yet with a student, an international student, I will typically recommend that you'll go in and using the communications you're already having with them, for example, with an email, something like that that might be going on, even a phone call, that you literally go in there and you put your WhatsApp Cadence number in that communication so that they can reach out as an offer. So again, just making it as an opportunity. If you prefer using WhatsApp, we have WhatsApp as well on the campus. Here's the number you can communicate with, and we'll begin that engagement with you. You may also want to look at things like QR codes so people can quickly scan that number and send a message. Whatever you could be comfortable with, maybe something you're already doing in some of your communications, and just adjusting the language so that you can add that number in there as an option.
That's great. The best point that I thought you brought up was being able to, like you both said, that right now you might be having a few people on campus using WhatsApp to communicate with these students. So bringing that off of all of those individual devices into one area, and then being able to see that data that you're familiar with seeing from your from the texts, you're going to be able to see from your WhatsApp messages as well. So I think that's a really great point. I love to see that. So is there a use case? Is there more of a use case for WhatsApp in just more than just the admissions team? Like, who else on campus would you see like benefiting from having this?
Yeah, I think the use case is tremendous across campus. If you really think about it, again, take it out of the recruitment of a student frame set only. If you think about how many people on your campus are connecting with folks that are internationally, whether it's a short-term travel thing with a study abroad, as I mentioned earlier, maybe you've got alumni or donors who are overseas. Many folks have alumni that are overseas, graduated, either were international students or were US students and then decided to, or got a job overseas. This tool is, and WhatsApp is that core connection, if you will, on your phone in particular, or on their phone in particular, where you're not going to have the kind of rates that you would typically see for anybody that's familiar traveling overseas. You typically have to deal with your phone provider, and you have to deal with those types of things to get an international package just so you can do those kind of communications. And it costs you extra money to do that. In this particular case, you'll have WhatsApp as a campus, and it can be that tool to be able to engage with those folks. Again, whether it's travel for faculty and staff, for sabbaticals they're doing, something like that, or whether it's with an alumnus or a donor, and reaching out to them and staying connected. Again, even though they're overseas, they still want to be able to stay connected with you. So I think those are some really great ways that WhatsApp could be used across campus.
That's great. My next question is it going to be on the app? This is probably a question for Jeff Campese.
Hey, not yet. So I was just answering Kate in the comments as well. So I'm going to double up as kind of a double response. So Kate's answer was, or her question was, will the Slate queries and the texts work as well in WhatsApp? Day one, no. So what's going to happen is you'll be able to message your contacts in here, and we plan to release everything else that we expect, like the queries, the segments, and everything in future releases. As for the app, it is on the roadmap. I think everybody on this call can probably say there's a lot of things needed in the app, and we're not going to hide behind pretending that it is 100%. So right now, no, WhatsApp will not be in the app. However, everything on Cadence is mobile responsive. And oftentimes when we're building things, we do shrink our screen down to the size of a phone just to make sure that it does work appropriately. So we continue to make great strides in making sure it fits on a small device. So you should be able to log into Cadence in your mobile browser. So Safari is my mobile browser of choice. You log in, you'll be able to use everything that we're building via the phone, just not in the app. Now, obviously, that means no push notifications at this point in time, but the app is a great can of worms that we want to get into. And unfortunately, WhatsApp is not there yet.
Gotcha. So stay tuned kind of thing.
Yep.
Perfect. I had a couple of questions in the Q&A. One was, is this going to be an automatic update, or is it going to be an additional thing that they'll have to add on? So yes, it will be something. It's something that you will have to add on and create. Basically talk to your client success manager, your account manager. They'll be able to get you the pricing information that you're going to need. Obviously, we can't go through all of the individual pricing needs for everybody on this call, but we can definitely get you into contact with them. So if you have any questions or you're interested, get into contact with them, and they'll be able to kind of send you over what works best for you all in your respective institutions, kind of thing. So we definitely are now at the Q&A section. So if you guys have any, put them in the chat, the Q&A, whatever it might be. We did have one from Annette, and she says that she has WhatsApp. Do I have to use my personal one or make another one from the school?
Yeah, right now, Annette, I will throw back a question, and I'm going to answer both of them. Is if you're using your personal cell phone number, we wouldn't want to port that into the Cadence and have it there, just because then if anything happened to that personal cell phone number, you kind of lose everything. So ideally, you would do something that Jeff Meese was talking about, where you'd have conversations in there. You can either wrap up them or direct them to a school number that could be a shared number for everybody to have access to. There is a way to port in business numbers. So if you were using a business WhatsApp account already, we can bring that into Cadence. That's just a little bit more manual and a little bit longer of an onboarding process than just being able to procure a new one similar to like a shared inbox.
Yeah, so just like how we want to remove all of the WhatsApp from the personal devices on campus, we want to be able to have the most amount of people on campus to be able to answer these questions for you too. So one of the best ways that I can say to get started is to go talk to your social media manager, whether it's in the marketing department or whatever it might be. If they are the ones who have a business account related to the school, that'd be the best place to start, so that we can get that process rolling with everybody too. So we have a couple minutes left still, so I want to see if anybody else has any other questions. Jeff, can you touch a little bit more about the approval process for the templates that WhatsApp is going to need to approve?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So WhatsApp or Facebook, Meta, I kind of use them interchangeably, but Meta is the one who does make the approval on the WhatsApp templates. There's 3 different types of templates. There's a marketing template, there's like a transactional template, and then there's this kind of catch-all. The marketing ones are not just blatant solicitations, but similar to the one that I just had, where it's like, are you still interested in information about us? As much as that doesn't sound like a marketing one, that is a marketing template. The transactional ones are similar to like, hey, your application was approved. That's a transactional template. So you can go ahead and create that in there, and you could put in similar to our merge field, but they call them variables. So anything that you would normally have as a merge field in Cadence, you can kind of put a little placeholder in the Meta one. And when you're submitting those into the compose motor, you can actually pick and choose either a Cadence merge field, or you can put in a freeform value. So if I don't have that custom field for you, Gary, I can just go ahead and enter it in on the fly and be like, your application was approved, as opposed to having to pull in that value from somewhere. You will need to be an admin in Meta to be able to do this, but part of that guide that we have, we actually show you how to make it so they only have access to the WhatsApp piece. If it's anything like the places that I've worked at before, like the people who control the social media don't necessarily want everybody to have their hands in there. So they want to be able to limit who has access to that. But with that being said, the people who are actually sending the messages might need to compose a template and might need to have access to that. So instead of relying on one person to kind of do both those jobs, you can add people in there to do just the minimal amount in Facebook that you want them to do and lock them out from everything else. Now, with that being said, it could either be a personal account or it could be a business related account. I happen to be using my personal Facebook account that I tied to the Mongoose Facebook. So that's a little bit more complicated, but if you have a email that's completely associated with the institution that you're working at, and you want to create a new Facebook profile that's strictly for work purposes, it'll absolutely work that way. And then you can kind of keep everything separated. So it's really however you want to handle it. Some people are going to be a little bit more strict, some people aren't, but you'll go into that template manager, you'll be able to type it in there. And really the builder, as you start to type the message out, it's smart enough to tell you this is not the right kind of template. It'll actually direct you to the right type, and it'll give you hints, and you'll be able to build out a bunch of cool stuff. And I know that we're getting in the weeds on it, but if you like our smart messages where you have the option to be like A, B, C, and like kind of direct people down a different path, the WhatsApp templates will allow you to put little call to actions in there. So in the one that I was building out, there's actually a button that says reply back. So it'll reply directly for you. Or there's like a visit a website, complete application, and you can direct them to wherever they need to go without having to send that physical link to them and have it kind of show up all messy.
Awesome. And that brings us right to the end. So I do want to thank everybody on today for hanging out with us. I want to thank the Jeffs for hanging out with me and being able to answer all of these questions too. Just a friendly reminder as well, along with this, but we also have FYI. Those are released every Tuesday. Gil Rogers always puts out some great episodes. He will be talking about messaging and battling melt and harnessing TikTok and all of those great things. So those are released every Tuesday. They're really great listens. You can get them wherever you listen to your podcasts. And then just a little bit of a peek into what's coming up next. Today, we talked about WhatsApp. October is going to be about Giving Day prep, which we know is coming up in November. So that'll be a nice time to start your thinking about what you want to do for that. And then in November, we're actually going to give you just a little sneak peek into what the roadmap is going to look like for the next upcoming year. Maybe Jeff will be back for the third time. Who knows? And then December, just like all of you, we're going to get another little winter break. So we're excited for the next 2 episodes coming up. And once you're registered for the one, you're registered for them all. So spread the good word that we're putting out this this episode for you, and share it with everybody that you know. And thank you again for joining, and you will be hearing from us all soon. So take care, everybody.